be a quick meeting and we can
eat before 10.
yes. Couple more seconds. Lisa, do we have everyone that from staff that we need?
So let me expand. Yeah, we're good. Andrew, I don't see Andrew, but we can start as soon as you're ready. I think we have another minute or so just to make sure any public that want to join.
Perfect. We'll give it a couple more seconds here, maybe while we turn on the recording.
The recording's already on.
Oh, going on already.
Yep.
Thank you. Then let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Thank you. Director Alvarado,
Here.
Director Stanley,
Director Stanley,
Here.
you're on mute. There we go.
thank you. Director Weiner,
Present.
Vice President Sedith,
I am here. Thank you.
and President Cepeda.
Presente.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
All right. Now it's the time for public comment on items that are not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Mr. President, we did not receive any written comment, and I do see some attendees in our meeting. And if any of these attendees wish to speak for items not on the agenda, if you can please raise your hand. Seeing no hands raised, we do not have public comments for items not on the agenda.
Thank you. Then with that, as a reminder to everyone, Vice President Sedith will be serving as our parliamentarian for tonight's meeting. Vice President Sedith, are you ready to take on those roles?
Absolutely, sir. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Now I'd like the General Manager to please lead us to the rest of the agenda. Ms. Lisa.
Thank you, President Cepeda. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the consent calendar, and the consent calendar consists of items 1 through 6. Madam Clerk, are there any members of the public on the call, or have we received any written comments on any of the consent items?
Madam General Manager, we did not receive any written comment. And if there are any attendees that would like to speak for items on the consent calendar, if you can please raise your hand, and I'll just wait a moment. Seeing no hands raised, we do not have public comment.
Okay, thank you. So seeing that there are no public comments, then we would recommend that the board approve these items and would request a motion.
So moved.
I'd like to pull an item.
Okay, Director Stanley, to pull the item, we'll need a second to pull that item. Can I ask which item you're referring to? And if there's, were you able to ask questions beforehand too?
Item 6. I'd like to pull it and talk about it a little bit.
All right, what is your specific something, just so that, because we're gonna have to take a vote on it. Is there a reason to, which piece do we want to discuss or?
Well, I'm okay with paying the $25,000 that they need to finish what they're currently on. I'm not okay with leaving approximately $75,000 in the pot for whatever at this time.
So is your question more or less maybe to the GM about what the extra money is for?
Okay, yes.
I'm just trying to figure out, so when we vote, do you want to vote, if the consent calendar moves forward, are you going to vote no on the consent calendar? Do you want to move this forward because you want to vote no on this particular item?
I want to vote no on this particular item.
Okay. Ms. Lisa, for that item, do you think maybe there's a answer that without pulling that item that we might be able to give on that extra funds?
No, I think that that information is in the staff report. It sounds like Director Stanley just doesn't agree with it and doesn't want to approve it. I don't think that there's anything else. This has already been through the committee and that information was provided to the committee and we included it. So I don't know that it's anything more than it sounds like.
Well, I don't know what you think it sounds like, but I'm seeing as we're stewards of the public money, and that's what we're supposed to be watching is the public money. And we have a contractor that we're going to leave $75,000 unspecified use for.
Let me, before we go further with the discussion, we need a second in order to pull it and then to continue the discussion. Just a point of order.
I'll second it so we can hear the discussion.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Parliamentarian.
So it's been seconded, and so President Zepeda, we need to vote on whether to pull it.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Can you please count the votes, please?
Director Alvarado,
No.
Director Stanley,
Yes,
Director Weiner,
Yes,
Vice President Sedith,
No.
and President Cepeda.
No.
Thank you. Motion fails.
And
I'll move the item.
I will second the moving, Director Alvarado moved the consent calendar, and I will second that, please.
Thank you. Ms. Martinez, can you please call the roll?
Director Alvarado,
Yes.
Director Stanley,
no,
Director Weiner,
yes,
Vice President Sedith,
Yes, ma'am.
and President Cepeda.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. So the next item on the calendar is a regular calendar, and this is item 7. And this is to consider a resolution nominating President Cesar Zepeda as the special district representative of the Contra Costa Local Agency Formation Commission, also known as LAFCO. Madam Clerk, do we receive any comments, written comments on this item, or if any members of the public want to speak on this?
We did not receive any written comment for this item. And if there are any members of the public that wish to speak under agenda item 7, if you can please raise your hand. Seeing none raised, we do not have public comment for agenda item 7.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. I want to recognize Vice President Sedith. You have your hand up.
Yes, I would like to move the item, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. And with that, we've closed comments. We have a motion and a second. Madame Martinez, if you can please call. We have, Harry, hold on one second there. So we have a motion on the floor. Ms. Collins, can we go right into the vote with that motion? Do we close discussion, or do we have to have discussion or vote to close discussion first?
It would be appropriate to have discussion at this time.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
My board meeting. It should be over soon.
And we can hold it there for a moment, and then we'll go to discussion, and then we'll finish the vote there. So thank you. Director Weiner, your hand's up.
yes. I had some questions for President Zepeda. And they are as follows. President Zepeda, you are currently employed full-time. You are president of the West County Group of the Sierra Club. You are president of the West County Democratic Club. You are an elected member of the Democratic Party of Contra Costa County Central Committee and the chairman of 2 important committees therein. Do you have time to devote to an additional role on LAFCO, which, while adequately supporting your role overseeing the West County Wastewater Agency?
Thank you, Director Weiner. I received both of your questions you sent over email, and I responded. I think I responded right before this meeting, so you might have not gotten them. But thank you for those questions. You actually missed a couple of other groups that I'm involved in. Like many of us in this board, we all try to have involvement in the community as much as we can. And do we have time? People usually ask if I sleep, right? Sleeping a little more, a little less, being more involved in the community. That's where my passion lies. And I believe that overall, being part of this commission that is countywide is going to be very fruitful for our commission, for our special district, being able to have representation. Right now, we don't have representation there. There's other wastewater districts that are there. Throughout California, many small districts like ours are not represented at LAFCO because many of them might just not have the time or don't really care for it. But this will not only give us a platform on the county stage and make sure that every time we go there, they know our name. They can potentially hear our issues as well, right? Even though LAFCO is very centered into their own agenda, but just seeing our name in representation, right, could only help our agency. In terms of my time, yes, I will make the time. It's during the day. And if it means I'm gonna have to eat lunch as I'm part of the meeting, that so be it. I might be walking my dogs and listening to the agenda, but I will be there. But I will make sure to represent not just our district, right? Not just the West County Wastewater District, but our district as a whole, our area as a whole, and small districts as a whole. One of the roles that I had was president of the Hilltop District Homeowners and Stakeholders Association, which oversaw another special district here at Hilltop. And I'm pointing here where I live in Hilltop. And it was created very similar to rules from LAFCO. So I have a little bit of experience there, and I think the representation in our area is very important. The other special district directors that sit on there now are from Central Contra Costa and East Contra Costa. So again, having representation from West County is going to be crucial. We're going to have some good questions coming up about some land, especially in Richmond, that could potentially go in front of LAFCO. So again, representing our area is crucial. We don't want someone from East County coming over and telling us what to do in West County. So hopefully that answers your question. But thank you; those were great questions.
Yes, it answered both my questions with one question.
Thank you.
With one answer. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the directors? All right, hearing none, then we will go on to the vote. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Thank you. Director Alvarado,
Yes.
Director Stanley,
No,
Director Weiner,
Yes.
Vice President Sedith,
Yes, ma'am.
and President Cepeda.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes.
thank you. And Ms. Collins and Lisa, quick question. I don't know what the process next step is for this. If I have to officially get onto LAFCO before we talk about who my second would be. I don't know if we do that now. Do we need to vote on some? It's not agendized, so maybe we need to put it on the next agenda. But I'll need someone to be in meetings in case I can't make it. So, and in case of elections, because our elections are staggered.
If I may, then I would just recommend that we look at the rules for this LAFCO first. Each LAFCO has slightly different rules, but I think that we could discuss that separately with you, Mr. President.
Perfect, thank you. And then we'll bring that up maybe to the next agenda if we have to agendize it. Thank you, appreciate that. All right, Madam General Manager.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item on the calendar is other business. And the first item we have is reports from staff, general manager, general counsel. We do have the monthly check register as well as the quarterly investment report, which we can go over. But I did have an item that I wanted our general counsel to report out on at this moment. So I'm going to ask her to start and then we'll come back to the check register if she's still there. Oh, she is. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just, I was just reporting on the progress of the trainings, that the trainings have been completed for both Director Sherry Stanley and for Director Harry Weiner, and those were completed earlier this month. I'm sorry, was there anything else that you wanted me to report on, Madam General Manager?
Just the cost. We're going to report out of the cost.
Yeah, the cost of the trainings together were, see the full amount right now. Were $11,000. And that invoice was submitted late last month. And that concludes my report unless anyone has questions.
Directors, any questions from the report from our General Counsel? If I can just say, Director Weiner, thank you for taking the training. And I know that you completed the training in December, correct, General Counsel? Right, so Director Weiner, because General Counsel said that they were both completed last month. So, but I think Director Weiner completed his.
You're right.
In December. So
I
thank you for.
apologize.
It's okay. Thank you, Director Weiner. Thank you for completing it on time in December. Director Stanley, also thank you for finally completing it and getting it all done. Glad to have that out of the way of the agenda here. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we'll turn to the check register as well as the quarterly investment report. And we will, I did receive a few questions in advance of the meeting, which were answered. But if there are any other questions, we are happy to take those at this time.
Ms. General Manager, I have a sort of question, observation about the check register.
Sure.
Just for clarification purposes, the check register would have every amount and any amount, including like the $97 for paint.
Correct. Any expenditure that goes out of the district checking account is included on the check register. The only detail that you may not see in its entirety would be things that were charged. If we have any charges on the credit cards, there are staff that have credit cards and will use those for some purchases, various things. So you don't have all of the detail of the credit cards, but you see the total that is spent. But other than that, yes, every expenditure, anything that is drawn on our checking account, you have in front of you.
Thank you. Director Weiner, question there.
Yes, I noticed that the numbers there were 2 or 3 items that had a different format for the number, the check number with a T in it or some such thing. Does that indicate anything important?
Looks like Justin can answer that. It's coming on.
Sure. That number just usually refers to that it was paid electronically instead of with a check.
Gotcha. Thank you. And then I didn't really understand how does a charge to a credit card appear on the check register as if it was a check after the charge was paid for and it's categorized by what was spent? Is that how that works?
No. So if you look at the check register, you will see, and I'm blanking on our, it should be is it under you?
Umpqua, yeah. Umpqua
Yeah.
Bank is our credit card processor.
Right.
So you'll see one lump sum, and that's the monthly payment for all credit card transactions.
Right.
So that's the Umpqua charge. Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, and that's used for sometimes it's used for registration fees for conferences, or if, in the field, if they have a purchase that we don't necessarily have a PO or it's a small amount, things like that. So it's not you know, it's anytime we have a purchase order or a contract or anything like that, it's definitely not going to be on a credit card. So it would be the smaller purchases.
Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, any other questions on the check register? Director Stanley?
I'm wondering why we don't see anything from Claire again.
It could just be the timing. The December bills were a little, the billing was a little delayed, so we didn't get that. So that's probably not. So you'll see the two bills on the January check register.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, any other questions? All right, seeing none, then we're going to move on to the next item here.
So the next item is director comments and meeting reports. So we'll hand it back to you.
All right, thank you. Directors, do you have any reports? We'll start with Director Alvarado. Anything to report? You're on mute.
No, nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Wiener, any reports from you?
Yes, I attended the North Richmond Horizontal Levee stakeholder meeting. And I would like to see some progress reports on redistricting, possibly the next meeting. That would be of interest to me. And I'd like to know how our diversity, equity, and inclusion policy is coming along. I'd like that to appear in a future meeting as well.
Thank you, Director.
So, President
Oh.
Zepeda, can I just quickly respond for Director?
Yeah,
Wiener?
please.
Okay, so we will be bringing to the board some information on redistricting shortly. We're just not quite there yet, so you'll see that. And we will absolutely start providing some more information on our DEI work. Also look for some updates in the drop, which the board also receives in terms of updates. You'll start to see more of that in the drop as we sort of gear up on all of our DEI work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Wiener. Vice President Sudeth, any reports from you?
Yes. Actually, this weekend, I'm headed down for another session with water education for Latino leaders down to Bakersfield and Tehachapi. We will be down there studying their water conditions. I wrote a paper that's waiting to be published about environmental degradation and environmental racism and its effect on Black and brown women. So waiting for that one. I'll be presenting that one in a couple of weeks. I presented, I was on a panel this past weekend for Contra Costa Board Office of Elections for encouraging future leaders. It went well. That one was fun. And also for MLK celebrations, we had like 5 events happening that day, 2 live and 3 on virtual. And then yesterday was Lunar New Year celebration. No, yesterday, was yesterday first? I'm getting my days mixed up. Yeah, yesterday's first, today's second, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And we've kicked off Black History Month, which I don't limit it to 1 month because Black history is American history. So it's every day. And so I will tell you this, that 2 quotes I want to say. One of them is from Kobe Bryant. He said, "It's the one thing you can control. You are responsible for how people remember you or don't. So don't take it lightly." And then the other one is from Nelson Mandela. And he said, since we're all leaders here, I want to leave you with this one. He said, it's better to lead from behind and to put others in front, especially when you celebrate victory, when nice things occur. You take the front line when there is danger. Then people will appreciate your leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice President Sutter. Great words. Thank you. Director Stanley, you have your hand up?
Yes. I wanted to thank Lisa for the pipes program. There was 10 or more, I think, people who took advantage of that. So it's good to see that it's getting to people and people are getting some help with their laterals. I also wanted to let staff know that there's $19 million available for all phases of researching and coming to a decision to co-digest. So I think the last time we talked about this, we were going to probably co-digest our biosolids, and perhaps we can take some of that money. So I would be happy to pass that information on. Also, I had in my notes from Claire, you had said that we would be hearing about this redistricting in December. So like Harry, I'm kind of concerned that now it's February, but hopefully we'll get to it soon. And finally, I want to go to the NAPA CSDA conference, Advanced Leadership. I've been to it before. Every time it's a little bit different. This time especially has some topics that I want to see, want to listen to. I don't really care about getting paid for my time, but I do need the conference and the hotel covered. And if the board doesn't want to pay for it, then I'm going to apply for a scholarship.
Thank you, Director Stanley, for those comments. And then I'll get back to you on that last question there. We're looking at that over here. Thank you, Director. Any other comments or questions or part of your report? No? All right, then I'll give mine. It is district election season. Everyone's doing it. We have new congressional district. We have new Senate, everything, right? It's the census just happened. So now it's time to redraw. City of Richmond is going through that. I attended the City of Richmond meeting. Very controversial. Some individuals forget why district elections were there. Many people are fighting over making sure that they have their district next to the shoreline, for example. And they're worried about their neighbors, and they're worried about their shopping, and they're worried about the street. And many of them forget it, if not all of them during that call, forgot that the reason we have district elections is because of the Federal Voting Rights Act, and the California Voting Rights Act says it is there to give a voice to the minority. So as we continue having conversations on our districts as well, we'll be looking at that. And hopefully those are neighbors here in Richmond and other places where they are going through their districts. They remember that it's about giving voice to the minority population and not just to see who your neighbor is going to be and if you like the street or if you have the right views in your district. So that was part of the report there. The other to the West County Wastewater District team, I am loving the drop. I love every time the drop drops. Really love finding out more about what's going on in our agency. In January, for example, we didn't have a meeting before this, but congratulations and welcome to Tanya Williams, who was promoted to Senior Human Resources Analyst. She began last month, but congrats. We didn't have a meeting between when that dropped in our meeting. So congrats on that. The other thing that the drop also mentioned, many of us might have seen it in the newsstand. The San Francisco Chronicle published an article talking about COVID in our districts, right? And that was very impressive that we have our name out there, that we were able to participate with other wastewater districts around the state where our wastewater is monitored, and we can see what is happening with COVID, and they can use this data to forecast any future spikes. Many individuals get sick. They might not have any symptoms, but when they flush that toilet, it's going in there. And then great people on the other side, like Geraldine Gonzalez, Carla Amezcua, and Sam Katzen, they work behind the scenes in their microscopes looking to see what's going on. And they can report that. And then the scientists and doctors kind of figure out, okay, something's coming on, it's on its way, or it's here, or it's going away. And here's how we continue protecting our community. So that's just another way of how our district is able to help our communities at large, not just West County, but communities at large during this pandemic and other parts as well. And then part of the drop as well reminded us, if you haven't already ordered your free COVID tests, please go online and pick up your free COVID test. It is 8 tests per household for right now until they fix the website. It should be 8 per person, but right now they only have 8 per household. So those are free from the federal government for all of our employees that have insurance, and anyone watching that has insurance. All COVID tests are free going forward, not just the federal ones, but through your insurance. You can submit a claim if you purchased it at Walgreens or CVS, for example. You can submit a claim to be reimbursed of the $12 back per test. Some boxes have 2 tests. It's going to be about $24 for each one. You can get reimbursed for both. But the tests are free. So please make sure you utilize that service and those benefits to continue keeping our community safe, and that we could be aware of what is going on with this pandemic and how we can continue keeping each other safe. That is my report and my comments for now. Director Wiener, I see your hand up.
I wanted to comment after listening to you pointing out about the drop, that I went online and looked at our fog videos, and I have to say they're wonderful, and everybody should check them out. They're a crack up, and the actors really played it up. It was really great. And to your point about the article, anecdotally, a friend who's a nurse asked me a question: can you really find out about COVID in the sewer system? And I said, all diseases of humankind go into the sewer system. And she was like, I never thought of that. I said, and that is why we have sewers. She said, I knew if I called you, I'd find out why.
Great answer, Director Wiener. Great answer. Anything else, Director Wiener?
No, that was it. You just kicked off a couple memories for me. Thank you.
Glad I did. Thank you. Director Alvarado, I think I saw your hand there.
Yes, you did. I just want to let people know that I did receive my test from the government, the 4 tests that came in today. So it does work. It's happening.
Perfect. Glad to hear.
And they're
Thank you.
15-minute rapid tests, if anyone needs to know that as well.
Perfect. Great to hear. Thank you, Director Alvarado. Director Stanley, I see your hand up.
I also wanted to join the gang on saying good job to Kate and her efforts on the drop. She's doing a really nice job. The only comment I have is since it's an electronic thing, perhaps she can embed links so that when you're reading it online, you can go directly to whatever she's talking about. But it's lovely, and the tone is lovely, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah. I think it's award-winning content. I love reading it. We should submit it somewhere, Ms. GM. Well, with that, directors, I believe we're approaching the end here. If there's no other comments, then Ms. Martinez, can you please take us to the board's favorite part of the agenda?
Thank you. Last item is adjournment. The meeting is adjourned at 7:04 p.m. And the next regularly scheduled board meeting will be held on February 16th. I do see Director Winter's hand raised, so.
He was waving.
Yes, thank you.
Go Cincinnati Bengals.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a beautiful night.
Good night,
night.
you guys.
Good night.
Thank you.
LA.
No way.